Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, it's a very special honor for me to talk about a subject which is of great interest and also of great concern to people like me who are in heavy oil. I've been in heavy oil recovery for more than 60 years now, starting in 1958. So I've seen many changes over the years, and now we are going through a very, I would say, tumultuous uh, time. I'm at the University of Houston, and I am now working on oil shale also for the last 10 years. So the topic here is what is the effect of shale oil development in the US at this point, and to some extent in Canada, and probably in many countries in the years to come, on the production of heavy oil and the development of heavy oil. First, a quick comparison. If you look at the picture here, the resource, if you look at heavy oil and tar sands, if you look at the entire resource, it's 5 to 8 trillion barrels. Shale oil, just in the United States, is 500 billion barrels, perhaps much more. Just one reservoir, Eagle Ford, is hundreds of miles long, 400 foot thick, runs across Texas. The product of shale oil is a high quality light oil. Recovery factor, now that's the big difference here. In the case of heavy oil, the numbers are, interchanged here. In the case of heavy oil, the recovery will be 30 to 60%. In the case of shale oil, is 5 to 8%. And then also we have shale oil, which is still under development, and we have heavy oil which is well developed. I'm sorry, a couple of slides are mixed up because we made some last minute changes here. So the way things are, shale oil still has a long way to go because our recovery factor is only 5 to 8%. Even with that, the United States reserves right now, due to the shale oil, are something close to 50 billion barrels. Only 10 years ago, they were only 19 and 50, just an incredible change. So just as to what is shale oil, I'd like to say a couple of words only. You see the picture here, we have a horizontal well, and in the horizontal well, we have created horizontal fractures here, vertical fractures. So this is a better picture. This is the horizontal well, and we have created a set of vertical fractures. So the technology is extremely complex, expensive, but United States has really mastered this technology. Other countries are trying to do that. You think about it, that we are injecting in one well several million barrels of water with some chemicals, and also 5 to 6 million pounds of sand in just one well. So a typical well may cost anywhere from 2 to 5 million. And I would say that in spite of that, half of the wells are highly profitable. Where is shale oil? Where is heavy oil? We're everywhere, because shale oil essentially is, we know about shale oil for more than 100 years. The shale is the source rock where oil is formed, and the oil then migrates to some reservoir rock like sandstone. And we know that shale contains all this oil, but the shale pore space is 1/100th of a human hair. They are very, very fine pores. So how do you recover that? We didn't know that. In Eagle Ford, which I just mentioned, was discovered in 1951, and the development started only 2006, 2007, because we came up with this really clever way of fracturing the rock. So if you look at the picture here, we have the green color is heavy oil, We have huge heavy oil deposits in Venezuela and Canada and also in other countries you can see. And those other colors, the beige color is shale oil. So shale oil is there because they are importing vast amounts of oil at the moment. So there will be big changes. The world will turn upside down, as I see, in the next 10 years even. If you look at our US experience, it's astounding because we have developed 6 million barrels a day additional oil in only 8 years. It's totally incredible. And the reason is the US fiscal system and the ownership. Only US you can own the oil that you discover. So at the moment we have 6,000 small producers in shale oil, and there are another 6,000 companies which are supporting them. That is very hard to replicate in any other country. If you look at the US production, is currently is about 14 million barrels a day. Only a little while ago it was 4.5 million barrels a day. 7 million is from different reservoirs. There are many reservoirs, shale oil reservoirs in the US. 7 million is coming from there. But there are many unknown factors here. First of all, can the growth in shale oil be sustained for the next 10 years? Or really the last point that can we replace, is there enough oil? Are there enough reservoirs to continue to increase the production and maintain the current production? And the answer is yes. Look at the US production graph. It's totally astounding. If you look at the picture here, the production of about 9 million barrels a day went down to about 4.5 million around 2005. And now we are at, really, the current number is more like 14 million barrels a day. So you can see the increase in oil production of US is just totally incredible in a very short time. So what has changed? Number one, we are producing very large amounts of gas and light oil from shale oil, mostly in the US, some in Canada. We are doing massive hydraulic fracturing and refracturing. And the people at the University of Houston are the masters of it. Dr. Suleiman is one of them. Gas price in the US and Canada is only $3 per MCF. Not long ago, it was $8, $9, even $11. And it's actually less than $3 in many places. Also the other very important thing is that the current cost of producing shale oil has gone down to less than $40. Used to be $70 8 years ago. So the changes are, as I say, astounding. So what is the impact on heavy oil? A lot of impact. First of all, the shale oil production cost is low enough to match the heavy oil. I'll show you some production costs in a minute. Shale oil is partly displacing upgraded heavy oil because it's already light oil. Then also we have a problem with the environmental regulation, especially in Canada, which are limiting heavy oil production that may come here also in time. Then in Venezuela, we have a different kind of situation because of political turmoil there. The heavy oil production is almost at a halt, and the development of the gigantic, colossal deposits in the Orinoco oil belt sitting there idle with nothing much happening. And then the other thing is that because of the low gas price, the incentive to build an extremely expensive upgrading plant is low. Nobody wants to do that because just a 50,000 barrels per day upgrading plant will cost $5 billion at least, according to Canadian experience. And then a second kind of problem is that many of the prolific heavy oil reservoirs in California and Indonesia are now mature and the production is going down. And finally, the government support for research on heavy oil is very, very low. Compare that to President Carter's time, who allocated $19 billion for research in EOR and heavy oil. Just to see how things have changed, if you look at some of the old data, here's a graph where they predicted in 2006 that the US will be importing 14,000 barrels a day in 2019. This is the prediction. What is the reality today? We are importing only about 5,000, actually less barrels per day. So that's how things change only in a matter of 10 years. If you look at the production cost, total cost, the California heavy oil is about $20 per barrel. That includes everything. Alberta is about $35 a barrel. If you're looking at SAGD, and about $25 a barrel if you're looking at surface mining. Both are relatively low, but remember that the heavy oil has a differential. In other words, the Canadian heavy oil is sold almost $15 below the West Texas oil that you see all the time. Venezuela cost is lower, but as I say, the political problems, they are causing all kinds of difficulties. If you look at shale oil, 10 years ago, the cost of producing one barrel was $70. Today is below $40. That shows the power of private ownership, private entrepreneurship, and also the great incentives that we have right now. Now, the heavy oil and tar sands will continue to be developed at a increasing pace. First of all, the quantities are vast and well charted. If you look at heavy oil, we know where it is. We have been working on heavy oil for more than 100 years in Canada and California, and a couple of other countries as well. Also, the technologies for producing heavy oil and tar sands using steam injection have been fantastically successful. We can achieve, as I showed a minute ago, recovery factors of 60%, even higher. Steam can be adapted to any conditions. That is my specialty in a way. No matter what kind of reservoir you have, even light oil reservoir, we can adapt steam injection and make a profit on it. Also, the low gas prices are a boon because $3 gas price means that the 1 barrel of steam only costs $1.50. So the cost of steam, which is the main production agent, is extremely low because of the low gas prices. And then huge resources remain to be exploited in many countries, notably in China and Russia. There are also resources in just about every country which produces oil. For example, Saudi Arabia has large amounts of heavy oil which you never hear about. So my conclusions essentially are this. Number one, heavy oil production will continue and increase because it is there. We know where it is, we know how to produce it. It's like coal. We have enough coal in the United States for more than 2,000 years, and it will continue to be used no matter what. I know there are concerns about CO2 and many other factors, but because it's cheap, that's how it will be. In India, if you go there, you'll see that all kinds of fuels are used, and they will continue to be used because they are cheap. Now, there are some environmental and fiscal hurdles, especially in Canada. Now, shale oil has transformed the oil industry. It has, as I say, literally turned it upside down. It can be developed rapidly in the US, but can it be done in the other countries? Remains to be seen. In the US, we are frantically trying to increase the oil recovery factor from 5 to 8% for shale oil. We hope to achieve 30%. That's our focus of research at the University of Houston. And finally, as I see, it's just my opinion that the world oil surplus will continue to increase and the oil price will continue to go down. And the reason is that we will be producing more shale oil, and we have other resources also on the horizon. You heard about gas hydrates and all that. That's another story.